What's going on, family? We're gonna jump into some action here. Unfortunately, it's more bad news than it is good news, but it depends on how you view it. Because sometimes no news can be the worst type of news because you're not in the loop of what you need to be in tune to. So, what am I talking about? Well, I've been talking a lot about basically the culture, not only the what things that are taking place and really starting to have a stronger root than traditionally has been the case over in East Africa specifically in respect to homosexuality and the influence that it has. But obviously, I'm showing you the agenda, how it's been an issue here in America, and how the influence is growing even more, and some of the things that I see in respect to the direction of where these so-called elite people are attempting to take this path. So as I say that, unfortunately, you have some drama that's just transpired here in Zanzibar, where you have actually a police officer having sex, but with the wrong sex, if you will, having sex with another man. It's major news all across Tanzania now. This guy's actually been taken to jail here recently. And I'm very curious to see how this will basically be handled. Will it be handled with an iron fist, as traditionally as Africa has a reputation in regards to? Give me one moment. In regards to basically dealing with situations such as this, or are we looking at a situation where they're going to try to set a different precedent? They may attempt to. I think they're going to attempt to set a different precedent. Um, a lot of things that are going on with how much money the local government has provided Tanzania, specifically their artists, with 850 million shillings, between 40 artists. That is a travesty in and of itself. And the reason why I say it's a travesty specifically is I want you to just take a look as I jump into my screen sharing. And there's a lot of feedback that I'm receiving in terms of what's going on here in Tanzania. Um, there's a lot of feedback in respect to the price of food. Now, traditionally, Tanzania's food, it haven't been such a big of a deal, if you will. Traditionally, Tanzania's food, it's been very, very affordable. That's one thing they could pretty much hang their hat on, in the sense of, hey, you know what? Times may be tough at times. We may not have all the money as some of the other neighboring countries and things of that nature. But because Tanzania is such a fertile ground, they actually provide the produce, if you will. When I say produce, I'm just speaking of, livestock food in general, not necessarily like the traditional produce that you find in the grocery store. But they actually provide the produce for five neighboring countries. Five neighboring countries. So I emphasize that because obviously there's an abundance there when it comes to food. Well, the food prices are starting to increase, which is a problem in and of itself, because given the fact that, again, specifically Tanzania, the only country that never shut down due to the pandemic 19, that Tanzania actually, not only Tanzania, but other countries, Kenya, etc. Things are getting bad in Kenya, as a matter of fact. But they are actually, as a whole, Africa being penalized because they may not have been lock and key, if you will, in terms of how things were flowing with the West and that whole 2019, late 2019, to basically where we are today in regards to the response. We know that it was really at its peak probably in 2021, and then parts of 2022, and now that we're in 2023, the quote unquote restrictions are not what they once were, allegedly, because again, They do a great job of keeping us divided because as I was traveling, I was hearing a lot of stuff that you did not get in mainstream media in terms of what was going on in places like Germany and other parts of Europe and et cetera, et cetera. So just because it's not happening in your community don't mean that it's not happening. But we all have better sense and better minds than that. So I went on to say that to basically bring full circle. Why is Tanzania struggling from a standpoint of the food prices increasing and people are really having a hard time? I'm getting this from my Rafikis. This is coming straight from Tanzanian's mouth, and I plan on having several interviews in the very near future that's going to help convey that to you all from their perspective. But without further ado, let's take a look at some of the things that just recently transpired. Now, this is as of February the 3rd. This is where the government, the Ministry of Culture, Arts, and Sports, athletes, entertainers, they've been provided as of February 13th. Remember that date. Remember that date. I'm trying to get this thing to go down. I don't know why it's not going down. But as of February 3rd in Dar es Salaam, when the Minister of Information, Culture, and Sports, Mohammed Mechungura, received the news of the national custom and the national beat from the committee he formed, and also handing over the loans to artists being the second phase, and the total loan that was given today, $850 million for 40 artists with 10 artists representing others. So the reason why I couldn't scroll down is because I just have it as a photo. But let's take a look at this as we continue to move down. Well, basically, that's the gist of it, because that's another artist just responding, basically saying, hey, who am I? I'm just grateful to have this, etc. Then you got other people that are congratulating them and things of that nature. The reason why I'm taking time to look at this is because, first and foremost, what I'm going to show you on the backdrop of who's not receiving monies that we all will agree within our right minds that they need to be receiving money before artists who traditionally brag on how much money they have anyway. It's kind of a part of their entire persona, if you will. Not so much in East Africa. That's one of the reasons why I love their music, because they don't spend as much time bragging and saying, nan and a boo boo, look what I got, look what it takes to be like me. They don't spend as much time. I love how they basically go into communities, make their music, and just show the African life. I love that so much. But again, I'm not going to get off my point, because you do have certain artists and certain songs that they are basically waving in your face, look what I have, because guess what? They're following that Western influence, and it's all coming down from the West. So what am I talking about? What I want to show you here is I want to give you an idea of what you're dealing with. Let's jump into this here. And let's see. So what I want to do, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. No, this is about, oh yeah, this is exactly why. So remember, I kept saying, remember that date. Remember that date. Well, this is why I'm saying, remember that date. So the president of Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Suluhu Hassan, that Dr. Samia Hassan, I don't know, but anyway, let's get to the heart of it. Has asked students to be patient while the government is dealing with their request to want students with certificates and diplomas to be given loans like students at degree level. Basically, this second paragraph, excuse me, for those who don't know, is just providing a synopsis of when the conversation took place and what request was being made in terms of to the students and things of that nature, and from the students, etc. So this is just documented reporting. And then it says, regarding loans being issued at the level of diploma and certificates, I want to tell you, my children, for the work we are doing right now and the situation of this budget, we are not yet here. Therefore, we are thinking about it. We put it in our plans, etc., etc., etc. Save me the rhetoric. and then this person saying basically how they were basically advocating for the students to the Minister of Education on behalf of what was taking place. Now, my issue, excuse me, with that in and of itself is the obvious. You have February the 11th. As recent as February the 11th, that the Ministry of Education is telling students, we don't have the necessary money to help you all with, your transition. But February the 3rd, just 8 days prior to, they are actually giving away 850 million. You call it what it is. Giving away a loan. A loan is, it's basically like a noose. They're gonna have these artists on on the rope, and they're going to control the artists. That's the only reason why they're giving them this money to the artists. Some say it's because the elections that will be coming up and taking place, and basically they want to influence them in that respect. I think it's a lot larger than that. I feel that it's a lot larger than that. I'm not saying that it's not a part of the situation, but I definitely feel like it's a lot larger than that. So let's take a look at some of the other things that they're looking at, because this is very important. We want to also take a consideration that what's going on now, excuse me, in terms of mainstream media, especially over here in the U.S., and in the West in general. You have the homosexuality ties. Again, I started the video with that. I'm coming back to that. Listen, we see that, unfortunately, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the slap in the face to all fathers across the world. I'm not just talking about fathers in America. I ain't talking about just fathers in Florida. I'm talking about fathers all across the world, that Dwayne Wade has been provided with recognition of Father of the Year. Let me show you why he's been provided recognition of Father of the Year. If this ain't the most egregious, sickening stuff that you could come across, I don't know what to tell you. I sincerely don't know what to tell you if you don't see the issue that lies here in terms of this man being Father of the Year, being crowned Father of the Year. So this is the main reason, because he's doing their bidding. He's doing exactly what they want him to do. That's what he's doing, And what is that? What am I speaking of? Let's take a look. What exactly has propelled Dwayne Wade to a status of this man is deserving of Father of the Year recognition? Nothing less than in the process of conditioning and transforming his obviously innocent son at one point, because they manipulated this child to the point where this child, not an adult decision, but this child has changed his gender. Dwayne Wade's daughter, Zaya Wade, granted legal name change, gender change in court. This is what this is all about. You also have Gabriel Union, basically, obviously, that's Dwayne Wade's wife, or whatever you want to call that couple. I don't know what they got going on now. Who knows what they call each other? But bottom line, that's his unfortunate other half. But you got Dwayne Wade's wife, that she's, speaking before an audience at an event and she's advocating, they always try to group black people in with this crap. And yeah, I said it, goddammit. They always try to group black people in with this crap. Like, we don't fuck with that. We don't get down like that, That's why I'm bringing it full circle, even with traditionally how Africa is set up in a line. And that's why I'm working my way back towards it. I'm tying this in with the musicians' influence as well as what's going on. Believe me, you're going to start seeing some weird stuff. You're going to start seeing some little Nas type stuff from these musicians. First of all, they're going to mute them. They're not going to have the voice. The only voice they're going to have is one voice, and that's going to be to speak with the government and nobody else. Oh, by the way, just got some information come across my desk that they actually have started moving. Samia herself has started moving people from certain areas of influence within the government. Now, this actually been going on for a while, but that she's putting them in certain positions and even spreading them out. It appears that those who don't align with her, because trust me, it ain't a unified front over there. And that's what I can appreciate love in my Dr. Mumby voice. That's what I can appreciate love about the fact that all these brothers and sisters are not necessarily just laying down and taking it as it is. They're kicking up dust over there in Tanzania. Don't get it twisted. They're kicking up dust. But she's moving people that don't align with her and putting them in different areas and then claiming at the end of the day, hey, this is a government. They all are smart. They can be used anywhere. They don't need to just be used in the place of their particular liking, but they need to be used in place in where I put them. Boy, you talking about a dictatorship. My goodness. So let's jump in to again tying that Dwayne Wade situation together again. I'm going to show you that. Show you what this sicko is up to, him and his sicko wife, because that's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they are. Dwayne Wade's daughter, Zaya, okay, same thing. Granted, they ain't changed. I thought I had another, but just a picture, man. Come on, they did this to this child. My gosh, man, come on. They did this to this child. This is a biological born boy, y'all. I got a lot of other heat from that. They're also, I smile because I'm thinking about it because the evidence is piling up. They're also playing more Tyler Perry movies over in East Africa and Tanzania specifically now. Why is that so important? That's so important because one thing that I noticed upon my time staying over there and on both of my multiple trips is that they don't even show a lot of Black culture over there. You just don't see it. It's far and in between. But they had already started with some of their comedic, stories in the sense of like, daytime shows. They had already started showing men dressed up as women. There's one guy, he's real popular over there, and his whole role is he dresses up like a woman. He's a mini Medea, if you will. Now, I say that to say, why is it you don't hardly have any Black, especially American, exposure influence? Out of all of the Black American exposure influence that you can have, guess what you got? You got Tyler Perry. And the movies that they're showing over there are highly homosexual, lesbian, gay, influence movies, and things of that nature. Go watch them. I can throw some of the links up momentarily. I have to check to see exactly where I have them, but you have all that. I'm getting back on path, man, but this stuff is just coming to me because I'm telling you, this is what they're doing. They are basically laying a foundation to get Africa where America is. I know we like to look at Africa so often as, innocent and, a place where we can all go back to the natural order of things. And, to a great degree, that is the case, because you still have, people who live off in their villages and outside of the influence of any of the governments. That's damn near impossible to do in the West, and specifically in America. So, I love the people. I love my people. And that's why I get on here and I rep. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what nobody else is doing. I ain't even watching other people's videos like that. So I'm not going to say what other people aren't doing. But what I will tell you, if they're not talking about what I'm talking about now, man, they have their own self-interest in front of, basically the better good of the community. I'm going to say it one more time. If they're not talking about the type of things that I'm talking about right now, they have their own self-interest in front, first and foremost, of the greater good of the community. Now, I'm not saying there's something wrong with basically being selfish and love yourself first. You better love yourself. If you don't love you, who gonna love you? But what I am saying, there comes a time where you got to put your foot down and you have to address things. Because any people group know culturally, historically, if you don't stand up and say the buck stops here, then guess what? You will cease to exist. Mwisho, as they say in Tanzania, finish, it's done. So I'm telling you that people got to be in tune to what's going on. I can see the forest from the trees. I can see the forest from the trees, and I know what they're doing, and it ain't cool at all. So I want you guys, again, taking consideration of really what's going on. I want you all to know that this thing is deep. Some of this information, again, comes off the back of what I've shared just in my last video when I touched on some of these topic matters. It wasn't necessarily my intentions. It's just what came through, and I see that now it's time for me to spend a little more time in this area. So again, I'm gonna show you another clip. This is like what I opened it up with. This is the officer. This is that officer in Zanzibar. Word on the street, as they say, is that he was having sex with another man. Now you see an image of who exactly it is. That's allegedly what took place. And unfortunately, he's married, and his wife actually, stirred the ruckus in regards to, the feedback that she came across this information on social media. But listen, I drop nothing but the facts, the greatest and latest news. I want y'all to stay in tune, know what's going on, know what they're trying to do to you. Man, free yourself from this foolishness. So my thing and my purpose of really jumping in and doing this today is to say, I'm not going to say stop, because I can't say how many people are really giving their energy to the entertainers and artists and things of that nature. I know Africans love their music, and I love African music, which another point is it's quickly taking over. I think this thing is taking over the world, and you got to remember, your enemies, they study you in a lot of cases more than you study yourself, especially when it comes to us. Let's just keep it a buck. They study us more than we study ourselves. That's why they're able to keep these chains on our people for so long, because they've studied us. What I'm telling you is they know Africa is thriving from a standpoint of it's getting to the point where it's going to be super influential, not just in Africa, but around the world. Why you think they giving them this money? They already telling them, you work for us. You work for us. You got money for musicians, but you ain't got money for students. Stop it. You got money for musicians, but you ain't got money for students. Stop it. That's because they got another agenda at hand, man. I'm telling you. So I can see the forest from the trees. I know what's going on. I just did the video where they were talking about how these books of basically promoting homosexuality and lesbianism and being gay is actually filtered in the school. And then a day after I dropped that video, you have them come saying they're going to remove these books from the schools. But as one of my Rafiki said, how the hell did they even get into the school system? How did they get there without their knowing? You know what I'm saying? Man, miss me with that. Y'all need to stop it. They need to stop it. And then you got all this other stuff that's basically coming down the pipeline. I'm very interested to see how they're going to handle this case with this gentleman. Because something tells me that they're going to go light. I think they're going to go light on it. And that ain't been traditionally how Africa moves when it comes to these type of situations. So I'm just letting you know, man, be aware. These are your baby lives, your life that are at hand. You know what I'm saying? And what they're going to do is continue to do a slow boil. They know they can't change the older people, man. They know we set in our ways for the most part. Now, again, they're working on these children. They're working on these children. Don't let them get to your children. Don't let them get to your children. So, hey, again, we're going to have conversations that talk about liberating the people. We're going to identify who are our friends and who are our enemies, and we're going to move accordingly. We're going to move accordingly. And I'm one with you all. I'm one with you all. That's why I take the time to do this. That's why I take the time to make the trips. That's why I take the time to learn. That's why I take the time to spend time in the kabilas, i.e. villages, because I got a good idea about the culture. I spent time with people, you know, both male and females, and I've been out and I know their reaction. That's just been recently within the last 2 years. It's been that recent when they see that type of presentation, and it ain't been much of a presentation, but when they see it, they are so turned off. It's so vile to them. Speaking of being vile, I was watching a movie, The Lion King. It ain't The Lion King. It's called Woman King. Man, who seen that? Who seen that movie Woman King? Who seen that movie Woman King? Who seen that movie Woman King? Check it out. I was looking at the Woman King, right? And we ain't even gonna talk about the masculinity or the attempt of the demasculation of all men, especially black men. I ain't gonna even go there. I wasn't gonna watch it because I know that's a strong contextual element of it. But I said, you know what, man? I got my beautiful brothers and sisters, specifically sisters, that are you know, basically on the tube, on the TV. It was a Netflix special. I was like, let me go ahead and look at it. And I'm glad I looked at it. My goodness. You know, storyline, cool, it's okay. But to me, it's like you got to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You got to throw the baby out with the bathwater. First of all, they showed the king to be so super passive. He was just almost, man, 65. Let's just keep it what it is, man. This guy was just like, his whole presentation and makeup. And speaking of makeup, it's like he had makeup and not the traditional tribal makeup. Nah, he had that Tyler Perry type of presentation. You dig? Now, with that being said, his right hand, if you will, it's a man. His right hand man, oh my goodness. This is why I say you got to throw the baby out with the bathwater. See, things are subtle. See, Africa, they know don't even move like this. They put this guy beside him. Hey, this guy look like he's straight out of the ATL. Straight out of the ATL. I mean, this guy was switching, narrow, just, oh my goodness. I was just like, wow. I can't believe they're disrespecting the continent like that. I was like, I can't believe that they are disrespecting Africa like this. I mean, like, just the way, and he spoke as well. So it ain't like I'm just going off like one little situation. Nah, he was the king's right hand man, and the way he even talked with the other people, the king's wives. One wife was like, "Hey, why did you know he always treat this one woman a certain way? You know, she's so dusty, she's unpresentable." It's actually the woman who, whoever you've seen the story, I don't want to give you too much, but bottom line, it's a woman that's a main character. She's a soldier, you know, and she basically loved her people, and she had a lot of influence with the king just from a basically because she was good at what she did, and it was well known that she cared about her people and the community, etc. Getting to the point, he responded to her. I can't even respond to her verbatim. I can't respond verbatim what he said, but it's the way he said it. It's excuse me, wow, it's the mannerisms. Oh, as they say, it will take you out. The mannerisms will take you out. I can't believe. I was like, bro, I know they ain't disrespecting Africa like this. I know they ain't disrespecting Africa like this. Africa don't even roll like Africa don't even roll like this. Bruh, they got me so fired up right now. But I'm telling you, man, they coming. They coming. They coming. Man, we ain't got to talk about all the resources and stuff. Again, for a long time, they would come, they manipulated, they found ways to, for lack of words, gain access and power, resources, and things of that nature. But they didn't have your soul. They coming for your soul now. They coming for your soul. They coming for your soul.